There are so many different ways that I could choose to organize my home library, and I want to try all of them. So far you've seen me try to organize this by read versus unread, which looked insane and was diabolical and immediately reversed. I also organized this whole room to look like an independent bookshop, which was so much fun. And I do still really love having my little cloth-bound classics displayed like this. But right now, this is a little bit chaotic and honestly, a bit of a mess. And so today I thought we would fix this. I can fix it. And so I am going to try and organize this home library 3 different ways. Firstly, as a rainbow, mostly because I think it will be very, very satisfying to do and will scratch an itch in my brain. And then secondly, I'm going to organize it by alphabet, so by the alphabetical order of the author's names. I think that one is going to be incredibly frustrating to do, but will look great. And that will probably be the easiest way to find books within the home library. And then the final way, and I think the way that I'm probably going to stick with, but we'll see, you know, I'm going in open-minded. The final way I'm going to organize the bookshelf is by genre, or kind of by vibe, which basically means that my fantasy books will all be together, my romance books will all be together, my sci-fi books will all be together, that kind of thing. And as a mood reader, I think that makes the most amount of sense for me. But first and foremost, let's organize this bookshelf as a rainbow. So I'm gonna start by just pulling out all of the red books. So we'll take these and these, this one, that guy right there. Then it gets difficult because is that more orange or red? It's kind of confusing to know like what should go where, but I think I can get a rough kind of vibe. If you're watching this video and you're colorblind, this next segment is going to be very confusing for you, but I'm intrigued to see how this looks. People have very strong opinions about color coordinated bookshelves, so I already know this could ruffle some feathers. The trouble is books that have like dual tones. I guess we add it and then decide later. So many red books and also so many unread books. Hey, I'm here all day. Okay, already this is just from one shelf. How crazy does that look? There are actually so many iconic red books. Like, look at these. Isn't that very, very satisfying to watch? Guys, these are my red books versus my unread books. It's so weird when you just remove one color. Kind of looks way more dull. And then this is kind of crazy. The next color is orange. Starting with this one. Nice. Okay, so it turns out I have considerably less orange books. Orange, you glad to be here? And now we go in with yellow. I can already see a bunch. So let's begin. I think it's gonna get tricky when we get to green and blue because they kind of start to look a bit too similar. Like sometimes deciding, is that yellow or orange? No, that's yellow. It's those kind of colors that could pass as either that are difficult. The thing is, right now I have so many random books right next to each other, like Death and the Penguin next to the Kiss Quotient. Yellow, how are ya? I'm finding I have a surprising lack of green books. Maybe my t-shirt is making up for it. The t-shirt is compensating. But honestly, if I could have predicted what I would have the least of, I would not have predicted green. Like I said, I think it is hard because sometimes green and blue are a little hard to distinguish. Okay, a bunch of these are green, at least. That's another 3. Sometimes I realize I've missed very obvious ones, like, how did I miss that? Speaking of which, how did I not put that one in the yellow pile? Blue is a lot easier, but then there's also dark versus light blue, which are very, very different. Blue, I think, is going to rival red, because also the Penguin Modern Classics are blue, and I have a lot of these. Bonus point for every time I find a book that is not only the color, but also has the color in the title, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Oh, and another one, Bluets by Maggie Nelson. See, where it gets uncomfortable is having to split up a series like Heartstopper because these are all different colors, so these all need to go in different places. This is Blue Dubba Dee Dubba Die. A little bit of blue going on for the Teen Vogue party. God, the bookcases look so dull now. We're pretty much just left with, okay, not that one. That definitely should be in a pile. Yeah, pretty much just left with the colorless spines, so just black and white, really. The weird thing is that I just kept finding more and more green books. All of these also have green spines, and it's weird because I guess I'm not so good at picking out green from a color lineup. I've realized in this video that green is my weak spot. Maybe because there's so many shades of green, like this is the least kind of cohesive collection. Like they're all green, but they're all completely different, whereas like the orange is a little more obvious. I also unexpectedly had so many pink books. There we go, that's easier to visualize. So there's all of the pink books and the green ones. It looks really odd. Just like glancing around the room, we have purple, we have yellow, we have red, we have blue, plus orange, pink, and green. It's just, this is madness. This is bonkers. Okay, the shelves are clear, and now it's time to add the books. I'm gonna go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink and purple, and then maybe like black or white. So this is kind of how we're doing so far. I think that red and blue are the only colors I have enough to go all the way around because I have so many of those, but with yellow and orange, it kind of ran out at this point. Same with green. So I have quite an even number of these books, but it does look really, really cool. Green is the only one I think that is a little unsatisfying, whereas blue, yellow, orange, and red are quite distinctive kind of color blocks. Green, a little bit messy, I won't lie. Update, so I added in the pink. I think it looks kind of cool. And so now I have 2 shelves left. So I'm gonna do black and white because there are so many more books. And I just think it'll be satisfying to have those 2 finished off, and then I can kind of take a picture of like this section. This is insane. I know this makes so many people so angry, but honestly, I think it looks great. I'm not gonna keep it this way, but I do think that is really cool. Okay guys, what do we think? What have we done? I have to say, I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. I really, really thought this would freak me out, but honestly, I'm kind of here for it. It's too much. It is too much. Like, presenting my videos like this would just be so unserious. This, yeah, it's gotta go. So the next one, the next plan is to do that whole thing again, but this time by letter. So now instead of like 7 colors, I have 26 letters to sort these into. This is gonna take me such a long time. This already took all morning to do, and the thought of taking this down when I just put it up breaks my little heart. So I actually bought these letters from Hobbycraft. I think they were like £2.50 each, but they did have bigger sizes. I went for these ones. I thought these were kind of cute. And the idea is to have letter, book, 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 letter, book, book, book. Do you know what I mean? There's a vision there. Call me that Sir Raven, because I do be having visions. Visualize it, think about it. I think it could look great. And actually, the letters kind of match the color of the bookshelf pretty well. The trouble is, this is going to take a really long time to organize. So now I just have to go through and alphabetize all of these books. Oh Lord. Okay, A, put that there. That's a D, another A, C, another D, G, A, another G. Oh, that one's an A, C. The thing is, I'm only doing the first few letters of the alphabet because I'm not actually keeping it like this, so it's kind of more for your benefit than mine. I mostly just want to see what it would look like. There's another D, Joan Didion, David Baddiel, that is my first B. Mitch Albom, that's an A. Arthur Conan Doyle, that's a D. You know what, I'm gonna finish doing this and then I'll get back to you in a little bit. Honestly, the piles of books are pretty aesthetically pleasing because they are going up in a kind of color gradient because of the way I'm going down the order. Okay, so I've organized these. We've got B, A, C, D, G, and F. I appreciate that isn't how the alphabet works. I accidentally put these on the wrong steps. The original plan was to go A, B, C, and then I realized that was not practical. So that's why those are in the wrong order. And they didn't have an E block in Hobbycraft, so I just have G and F. We are ignoring E for the time being. This is some E erasure. I appreciate my own surname begins with E, so that will just have to be enough for now, okay? Enough. Okay, I have once again cleared the shelves. Imagine how tired we are. Imagine how tired we are of it. So we're gonna put a letter on there. And then I have a bunch of books where the author's name begins with A. I'm not going to alphabetize it more than just the first letter because I can't be asked. Oh wait, hang on. Because I see B, A. Because that will just take so long. That is, oh no. It survived the fall, it's okay. That is time that I don't have, quite frankly. So the A is up, let's do it. Okay, so I have to say the vision is kind of coming to life. This actually looks great. And now the next letter is D with all of the D books. So we'll continue with D down here. I reckon G will start there and then F. I've gotta say, I kind of love it. And the benefit of this is that you end up with series together. Obviously this one all matches, but imagine like Heartstopper, they would all be together in this system. For example, here I've got all of my Margaret Atwood books. Literary siblings would be together. I think this is quite a cool system. And I think the little wooden letters aren't too kind of offensive to the eye. You know, the rainbow is like smack you in the face organization. This is subtle. This is also totally exposing the fact that I have 3 copies of The List by Yomi Adegoke, and they're all different somehow. 2 of them were sent to me and 1 I bought myself, but it's not even a book that I liked. So having 3 copies of it is kind of mental. Okay, so that is the end of day 1 of organizing my bookshelves. I did not expect this to be like a multiple day endeavor, but that's kind of the way it's gone. By the way, do you like my little alligator? I got sent a book about alligators and they included this little toy, and that's my baby now. that is my child. I would die for my little gator, I'm so serious. Anyways, this took much longer than I anticipated it would take because it really does take a long time to clear all the books off and then put them back on again. I also did take many, many breaks. I won't lie, there was some procrastination. So anyway, it's now gonna be a 2-day thing, and tomorrow I think is going to take even longer. But this is the perfect opportunity to let you know that today's video is very kindly brought to you by Squarespace. And Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website or an online brand. They have literally hundreds of beautiful and incredible templates which can help you have a bit of a starting point for your website. You know, if you need a bit of extra inspiration, or if you're worried about having to have like coding experience, don't worry, you don't. Squarespace has pretty much done all of the hard work for you, so now you can focus on bringing your dream to life. There's great features included with Squarespace. For example, there's a blogging feature so you can let people know what is going on behind the scenes. There is also an analytics tool so you can see what is performing well and therefore what you should make more of. So if this all sounds good to you, then you can head to squarespace.com right now for a free trial, have a play around and get excited about building this website. And then when you're ready to launch, you can head to squarespace.com/jackedwards and use the code jackedwards to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for working with me on this video, and now I'm gonna sleep and recover. I'm being so dramatic, I'm literally just playing with a bookshelf, but I will see you in the morning. Okay, so it is a new day today. It is time for my third and final reorganization of these bookshelves, which I am actually quite sad about because I really think this looks great. I actually got some book mail this morning, so I thought I would share that with you. Firstly, I got the official Booker Prize versions of the Booker Prize shortlist. So it has the beautiful like Booker Prize branding on it. I'm actually hosting the official live stream of the Booker Prize this year, which is mental and nuts and crazy. So I gotta do my homework and read these books. So we have If I Survive You, Western Lane, This Other Eden, Prophet Song, The Bee Sting. Now if you watch my second channel, you'll know I did a quiz to see which of these books I should read first, and this was the one that I got. So I think this will be my first one that I dive into. And we also have Study for Obedience. And then I got 3 books for upcoming videos. So I have A Million Little Pieces. This is by James Frey. I'm doing a video on the Oprah Winfrey Book Club, so I'll have a little video essay about this book. And then I'm also going to be working on a video about hockey smut. So you'll see that very soon, but I'm going to read Icebreaker and Pucking Around. So that's gonna be a fun one. You know, I like to... I just dropped them. You know, get yourself a boy who can do both. Hockey smut and Booker Prize. So, you know, it's about range. Look it up. And now my job for today is to organize these bookshelves by genre. So over here we have alphabetized, here we have the remnants of the rainbow. But I think that the way that I personally would find it most helpful to organize my shelves is by genre and kind of by vibe. And while the rainbow and the alphabet took ages to organize, I already know that genre is going to take even longer because this requires a lot of brain power, a lot of thinking about books that I have read and also books I haven't yet read. So I will see you in a little bit and hopefully I'll have made some progress. So here's the update. I think it's one of those situations where it's gonna get worse before it gets better. At the moment I just have piles, and that's never good news, am I right? So I have like essay collections, poetry, mini cloth-bound classics. These are romance, these are kind of like thriller books, mythology, war literature, contemporary stuff. These here are all classics. Some of my favorite authors are getting their own section because I have so many books by them. So Joan Didion is an example. Same with Toni Morrison. I've got a bunch of translated books, but then specifically Korean and Japanese, short story collections, memoirs and non-fiction, dystopias. So it's all kind of coming together. It really is just a process of going through every single book, but we're having fun, so it's all good. Okay, so to give some order to the chaos, I've started to add little post-it notes so I can kind of roughly start organizing. So I have like war novels, dystopias. Here's where things get a little confusing. So these are the graphic novels that I own. I have one more Heartstopper book somewhere, not sure where. And so my initial instinct was to group all of my graphic novels together. However, the vibes are quite different between Mouse and Heartstopper. So does Mouse belong more in war? I would say probably yes. And then these ones probably belong more with my YA. So there's a bit of like kind of negotiation and working things out going on. So there's a little bit of negotiation going on in terms of like categorization, but I'm thinking as a general rule, I'm gonna do modern on this shelf here, and then classics on this shelf here, and then these will be kind of like, because these shelves are a bit smaller, I'm trying to do kind of subcategories, and then this will be non-fiction here. So I started by putting all of my poetry on this shelf just here, and then I need to add plays somewhere as well. And at the moment, the wrong things are on the wrong shelf, so I need to take everything off and put it back on in the right place. So, oh boy. Okay, time has passed. This is the update. I am buzzing. It looks so good. In my humble opinion, I think it looks good. This is my dream of like how I wanted to organize this bookshelf, and so to see my home library organized in this way is so cool. I really didn't film anything while I was doing this because I was just like concentrating so hard. There was a lot of mental gymnastics that went into like organizing this, because at first I started with like the poetry here, but then of course as I filled the shelves, different categories started to like bleed into each other, and so I ended up moving poetry to up there. Let me give you the whole tour. It all makes sense because I think things sort of flow quite nicely in the way that I've done it. So let me show you. So we start with 2 shelves of my translated fiction. And the best way about this method of organization is that I got to keep different types of editions together. So these are all of my Charco Press editions, and I think they look absolutely incredible like that. So this shelf right here is translated fiction, and this shelf is too, but I had so much Japanese fiction and Korean fiction that I wanted to give them like whole sections. And as time goes on, I'll definitely organize this into country, but for right now, this is good enough. I also have all of my Fitzcarraldo editions together, and I still kept certain authors' work together, like I have both my Herman Hesse books right here. And then moving on to modern contemporary fiction. Specifically in this corner, I have my kind of like, I support women's rights, but I also support women's wrongs books. So these are all books that center women, and I thought that was interesting to kind of keep those together. Then this whole section is modern lit, but I have a shelf of romance books, and I included kind of like Taylor Jenkins Reid, my Emily Henry books, that kind of things. And I also included Loveless, which is a book about being asexual, but I think it ultimately is a story about love. So maybe instead of saying this is a romance shelf, I would say it's a shelf about love. It's a shelf of love stories, not necessarily romances. So yeah, that's how I would categorize that. Next, we have more modern fiction. And then this is my kind of like young adult shelf. So I have all of the Heartstopper books together. I also have another graphic novel right next to them. And then a bunch of young adult novels. And then the bottom shelf is again a bit more miscellaneous. Moving on, now this shelf in the middle was super helpful because these shelves are smaller, and that meant I could kind of have little selections of almost like micro genres, sub-genres, if you will. So for example, here I have my mythology retellings. I try to kind of keep all of my Greek mythology together, and then we go into more like general mythology and folklore. Above that are my Penguin little cloth-bound classics. And then here and on this top shelf are my short story collections. I just thought that was interesting to kind of keep together, and also, you know, when I'm making content and I'm like, oh, I really want to recommend a short story collection, it's so easy to find. Or if someone says to me, you know, I really want to read some good short stories, I'm like, well, now we know where to go. So it's kind of bringing a lot of order and organization to the chaos of my life. This shelf is kind of like crime, thriller, murder mystery, that kind of thing. So you've got your Agatha Christie, your Arthur Conan Doyle. Moving on to this shelf, these are all stories from the First and Second World War. We have some World War I and then some World War II. Moving on to the next shelf, these are all dystopias. So you've got like The Hunger Games, but you've also got The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, which was like the original dystopia. And I think it's really fun having those all grouped together because you can kind of see like the development of the genre. Below that, as you know, I do not have a lot of fantasy and sci-fi books, so I've grouped them all together on this tiny little shelf. The Lord of the Rings books all together like that looks incredible. I probably should have The Hobbit that side of the Lord of the Rings actually, since it is a prequel. And then that kind of spills over onto this shelf as well. And then there's just some more kind of like miscellaneous books. This bottom bit is very miscellaneous, very eclectic. And then we reach the classics shelf. Now, I have been collecting books for years and years and years. You know, I did a degree in literature, so I've had a lot of these classic books for years and years, but I've never displayed them like this. They've always just been kind of scattered in my bookshelf, but it's so nice to display them like this. So these are the Oxford World Classics, some miscellaneous classics, and then we get onto the Penguin Classics, the Wordsworth Classics selection, the Penguin Mini Classics. So annoying that this one doesn't really line up with the rest, but so be it. And then here, you might be wondering what this massive bulk of red is right in the center. This is actually my collection of Christopher Isherwood novels. Now, I wrote my final year university dissertation on Christopher Isherwood, and so that is why I have so many of his works. They're all tabbed as well, so this is really, really special and important to me, and I'm so happy that I finally get to display them. It's also making me realize quite how many novels I read for my dissertation. That definitely wasn't necessary, but I loved kind of diving into his oeuvre and reading everything, so that is that. And so this is the point where we start to move into more like contemporary classics, and it's kind of signposted by the modern classics Penguin editions here, the blue ones. It's kind of funny having like the white editions, the black edition, red, and then blue, but kind of rewarding as a collector to get to actually display them like that. I've got my little shrine to Toni Morrison in that corner. Then we kind of get to my like mini shrine to Sally Rooney, and that sort of signifies a return back to modern literature, and that's kind of what the rest of the shelf is. Actually, this shelf here is all sort of like world literature. So lots of stories from India, from Cyprus, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Sudan. And I thought that was interesting to group those together as well, because this is kind of world literature, so set in all different countries and by writers from all different countries, but written in English. So unlike the translated section up here, these have been translated into English. The books on this shelf were written in English originally. And then we move up here to my poetry collection. So this is all poetry on this shelf, which kind of bleeds into this bit. This is my proudest moment in the whole space, because basically we have like poets, and then we get to Shakespeare's poetry, then we get into Shakespeare's plays, and then we get into plays. And I was like, damn, that was smooth. That was a smooth transition. And then this section is non-fiction, with the slight exception of some of Joan Didion's work, but I really wanted to keep her essays and her fiction all together, because I'm just so fascinated by Joan Didion, and I grouped her with Eve Babbitt because they were kind of like the it girls of writing. I've got some really interesting essay collections. We've got a lot of memoirs and autobiographies, that kind of thing. More non-fiction down here. My random collection of dictionaries as well. This stack here is my kind of like horror and thriller shelf. So there are some short stories and some translated books here, but I felt like these needed to be grouped together. It's kind of like if you want something that's going to freak you out a little bit, this is the place to go. And then beneath that, I also have my dark academia books as well. And then these ones here are books that I have duplicate copies of. So basically, if anyone ever needs a book to read, I would be able to give them one of these. So this pile will be going down. But yeah, that is the home library in its final form, I guess. And while aesthetically, it maybe isn't as satisfying as like the rainbow or having the little alphabet statues, I guess, I think this is, for me, this is the most practical way to organize my home library, and I'm gonna get so much use out of this. It's gonna make making content a lot easier. It's going to make recommending books a lot easier. And so this is why I built it. This is why we started this whole project, and I am buzzing. So thank you so much for watching this video. All the best, stay in touch, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you very soon. And also follow me on TikTok, because I made a bunch of videos whilst filming this whole thing. I was also filming on TikTok, so there's loads of content over there. And I'll see you there, and Instagram too. Okay, anyway, bye-bye, love ya!